Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Theorist, here with your host, JC Botero67, aka Vanity Pride, and as usual, we're taking a look at Tower of God today, Season 2, Chapter 288. So, before we do start, I do want to promote my one-shot that I released this past weekend. It's called The Middle, based off of Zed's song, The Middle. Of course, it's a Koondrossi one-shot songfic. So, guys, go check that out. If you haven't already, there was another one-shot that I released a week previous. So that's there on AO3. I, of course, will provide a link in the description of this video. I did want to release another one-shot as well on Valentine's Day. So kind of bump up the due date, I guess, of it. So instead of posting this coming Saturday, post it on Valentine's Day. But sadly, that's not happening because I want to produce something with good quality. I don't want it to just be scrapped together and posted. So I do ask for forgiveness, and I do ask that you guys, be patient with me, and it'll be worth the wait. So it'll be a belated Valentine's Day gift to you guys on this coming Saturday. But anyway, jumping into this review now. We have Zahard reaching the Palace of Spears. And of course, the kids aren't there, which is good. He senses that they're not there. So anyway, at this point, Big Breeder the Third, as I like to call him, or her, because Big Breeder 3 kind of has like a female appearance. I don't know about you guys, but that's kind of what I saw from last chapter. But anyway, basically this Big Breeder is like, hey, it's easier if you just kill them all off, so why didn't you do that? Why did you accept this bet? To which Zahard replies, that's because I heard a name that I wasn't supposed to hear. And so, that has me wondering, like, why would he say something like that? Because it's not like he's someone who's been to the hidden floor before and has come back and, you know what I mean? Like, I guess it's kind of tracing back to last chapter with that guy, I forget his name, but the one who was with Yua. And he had, like, the little mirror shard, but it went missing. And so once he talked about Yuraha and like what she experienced there, he forgot about it. So young Zahard is not in a position to be experiencing something like that, which makes me question, again, why he's even stating that. But, I mean, he is an interesting character. There's a lot of mystery to him. So I'm pretty sure SIU will come up with a reason as to why he's saying that. We just have to be patient and wait until that time comes. But of course, the name that was mentioned was Arlen Grace, which is the name that Baum had mentioned to him back in chapter 285. So, interesting stuff. So anyway, Koon Edwan, wow, not Koon Edwan, not yet. Jumping ahead of my notes here. Young Zahard says that he's going to go after the Koon kids. And he, in the meantime, is ordering Big Breeder the Third to keep an eye on Edwan and, come back and report to him on what's going on. So, now to Koon Edwan and group. Koon Edwan's basically telling Baum again, like, oh yeah, V was a companion of mine while climbing the tower. And before we get to hear any more about V, that is when Big Breeder the Third makes an appearance through, like, phone call thing. Because there's, like, a yellow bubble that you see in this image here. And anyway, he's basically asking them, like, oh, hey, like, how do you like the training ground, blah, blah, blah. He's even mentioning, oh, yeah, there's, like, grape juice and wine. It's, like, your favorite type of grape, Koon Edwan. And Koon Edwan's like, yeah, bullshit, whatever. So that was interesting interaction right there. But anyway, BB3, as I like to call him, Big Breeder 3, mentions that there's a quest to complete before they can reach the actual battleground. So, back to this quest thing again. This is, so, jumping ahead here, but the Koon kids, along with another group that I will reveal later on, but they also have to complete a quest in regards to this mirror of the end, or mirror at the end thing. But again, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, it's just the whole quest thing is kind of coming back into play. So that's really interesting. Anyway, Baum takes advantage of the opportunity to ask about Wang Nan and Icarus, and BB3 responds that only 2 of them are being kept hostage. He does not specify who these 2 are, though we are aware of it. Yuraha and Wangnan are the ones that are being kept hostage, but Bomb is still in the dark about that. But anyway, the rest have actually been sent to this place that Bomb is at as well. So that means Rachel, White, and Traveler are here. And of course, that kind of, messes up my potential theory of Icarus, kind of saving the day and helping out the Koon kids. Because now she's in this place, they can't really leave this place. So, anyway, Big Breeder 3 ends the call, / communication thingamajig. And so Edwin is like, okay, let's head up to this floating thing that Big Breeder the Third had mentioned in the phone call earlier. And so basically their lodging is up there. That's kind of beside the point. But we find out that Koondrossi is in Koon's lighthouse. Okay, Bomb was no longer carrying her at this point. I hadn't paid attention to that. But anyway, based on what Koon says, he's like saying that 3 people are in there. Obviously Koondrossi, obviously Misang, from having saved her after battling with Kaseya and whatnot. And then there's a third person. So it's got to be Beta. I know when I had Joe on the show, or Dr. Bonehead on the show, he had mentioned that Beta may have potentially, kind of fallen out of the lighthouse, and he's like somewhere else in the hidden floor. But I don't know. Maybe he still is in the lighthouse. As to why he hasn't popped out yet, I do not know. But yeah, but if there is someone else that could potentially be in his lighthouse that isn't Beta, I don't know. Let me know, guys. Let me know your thoughts and predictions on who those 3 people are. But anyway, Edwin is getting in touch with Marco Asensio, warning him that, young Zahard and Big Breeder the Third have something up their sleeve. And so it's interesting because Koon Agaro, this is the first time that he's seeing Marco Asensio, and like he's recognizing him like, oh yeah, that guy. But anyway, after Edwin is done speaking with Asensio, he's pretty much sending everyone to rest except Bomb. Bomb is to change clothes and come back outside to get started on his training. And Coffee Addict is actually there. And Edwin is actually telling him, hey, inform these kids on the mirror at the end, like what that's all about. As I said before, this is what the Koon kids are going after. Young Zahard is going after them because it does not benefit him in any way for them to get a hold of that mirror, which, again, we'll cover a little bit later. But anyway, with Coffee Addict being on this same floor that they're all at, he can't really leave to help the Koon kids. So, my prediction goes bye-bye at this point. As I mentioned before with Rachel, she's here too, so that doesn't work out, sadly. But yeah, so I do want to conclude this part of the chapter with a quote here. Basically, Bomb is asking Koon, hey, wouldn't you like some time alone with your father now that you've met him? To which Koon responds, forget it. I don't know how things were back then, but he's practically a stranger to me. Which is really sad, and right before I hit record on here, I was, kind of skimming through the chapter again just to get my notes straight and whatnot. And it got me thinking, like, maybe Koon just never had his dad in his life, That would make sense, especially he's calling him a stranger, basically. I mean, he could be saying that just because, like he said, this is a earlier version of his dad. So, kind of a stranger there because he seems nicer here as opposed to, like, what his actual self could be. But still, it's kind of sad, so... Anyway, Dr. Bonehead was correct about Boro and team still being with the Koon kids. And here is where we're going to find out about the whole mirror at the end thing. Because Boro is the one who asks Asensio, can that mirror at the end really delete Zahard's data? Okay? To which Asensio responds, well, it's almost certain. No matter how powerful Zahard may be here, he's only data. The mirror at the end is the mirror that heroes can see when they finish this stage. That mirror serves to send heroes back to the train on the outside. But if a data person left here tries to escape to the outside by looking into that mirror, the mirror refuses them and deletes their data from this place. The problem is how to steal the mirror and bring it here. And so, precisely, this is when Big Breeder 2, the monstrous Big Breeder, shows up with all those sworn enemies. And he's like, oh, okay, like... I knew you guys were up to something. I'm glad I showed up here because you guys were after that cursed mirror, basically. It's really cool here because Big Breeder throws his, like, rock attack. Remember, Koon and Coffee Addict had to avoid that because they could have died if they got hit by it. But freaking Moshini makes it look so easy. She's super kick-ass in this part because she's just slicing away at that rock attack like it's nothing. And it's so cool because she's even daring Big Breeder to come down and fight her. And I would assume that maybe she's kind of inviting the sworn enemies to come fight her as well. I mean, she can take on them. Look, this rock attack was nothing for her, right? So yeah, I really love this Moshini that we're seeing here. So skipping along here, we come to Koon Edwan and Baum prior to training. And of course, Baum proceeds to ask, you know, what more can you tell me about my father? And so Koon Edwan says, V traveled the tower with us, although he doesn't remain in this mirror as data right now. And so Baum asks, what kind of person was he? Koon Edwan says, it's hard to describe him, but if I had to choose one of us to be the king of the tower, I would have chosen your father. This surprises Baum. And Koon Edwan goes on to say, although our leader was clearly Zahard, V was very interested in the residents of this place, unlike us, who became less interested in other people as we gained more power. Zahard and V had completely opposite personalities. While your father kept trying to get closer to ordinary people, Zahard, well, the more we traveled, the more it felt like he was becoming something completely different. Arlen would always try to keep the peace when the two of them fought. I'm not sure what happened, but V died, and Zahard became the king of the tower. I heard the news from that coffee kid later. The ones who came here before that don't even know V's name. And so Baum's like, what? Han Sung told you about my father? And then Koon Edwan says, yeah, plus he asked me to help him defeat Zahard's data because V's son will come to this place someday. And so I want to pause there because this whole like Foog Zahard thing to me is almost akin to the situation in the anime Akame ga Kill. I don't know if you guys have seen that anime. It's really good. I would check it out if I were you, if you haven't seen it yet. But anyway, basically the background for that anime is that there is a type of rebel group and they're pretty much fighting against this corrupt government, corrupt society. And so I compare it to Fugen Zahard because in season 1, we're kind of accustomed to the idea of like, oh, Foog is bad, you know? But in reality, Foog is the group that we should be rooting for. Obviously, the more we're hearing about Zahard, the worse of a person he's turning out to be. And so, really, we should be rooting for Foog. And I don't remember if it was last review, but I know I had mentioned it at one point. I was like, oh, you know, Han Sung-yu, he's not that great of a person. Like, he's evil. But it's like, well, really, if you think about it, even with what Koon Edwan just said here, that's why I paused. Because V's son will come to this place someday. And, of course, Han Sung-yu was asking Koon Edwan to defeat Zahard's data. So, Yu Han Sung is actually a good guy, if you think about it. So, anyway, just wanted to make that point. Moving on. Another interesting thing here in this scene with Baum and Koon Edwan is the whole internal, external Shinzu qualities. So, in the case of Koon Edwan, I'll be reading this here. This electricity is my Shinzu quality. We discovered that the Shinzu controlled by a few special people contains special qualities, and we spent a lot of time on trying to master this. Just so you know, this electricity is my first quality. I have a total of 3 now. There's no telling how many more I might find in the future, because these Shinzu qualities of mine were exceptional even among my companions. When a quality is manifested externally like this, we call it quality manifested Shinzu control. When you explode the Shinzu with its quality manifested within your body to obtain power, we call it internal quality Shinzu control. So I don't want to read through that whole thing, but those are basically the new kinds of Shinzu things that we learn about. So I thought that was pretty cool. Kind of gives us a look into what Baum will be using, obviously, against Zahard in their upcoming battle. Another one I do want to touch base on here is this quote. Shinzu with a quality which suits the user has a much higher density than ordinary Shinzu. You can use an attack with plenty of destructive power without increasing the size of bang or numbers. We called the ability to pack a lot of power into a single bang tension. And so then he kind of demonstrates this attack to bomb, and you can pretty much cause a big-ass explosion with what Kun Edwin just described there. Oh, and then he also said that V was the one who had the most outstanding tension out of anybody. But Eurasia was pretty good as well. So I thought that was interesting that they brought up Eurasia there. And so, yeah, basically Kun Edwin is telling Bomb to kind of find a type of Shinzu that would suit him. Obviously, trying to avoid the black hole sphere Shinzu is something that Kun Edwin had said earlier, but maybe he could tap into, his dad's technique, or maybe even Kun Edwin's. Kun Edwin was kind of showing off how he made his electrical spear as well. So, different kinds of techniques that Bomb could try out and see what would suit him best. Oh, yeah. I do want to make one last point before we come to this final scene here. I'm pretty sad for Kun. Like, oddly enough, the interaction that was happening between Edwin and Bomb, and like this whole thing about Edwin helping Bomb out so much and not doing the same for his son is kind of sad to me. Granted, this is, the young data of Edwin. Obviously, there is a purpose as to why he's training Bomb, because he's supposed to face off with Zahard. But it just makes me sad that the actual Edwin wouldn't do that for Kun. Especially if Kun is calling him, like, a stranger, if Edwin wasn't a part of his life. It's really sad. And in the meantime, you kind of see this connect happening with Edwin and Bomb. It's almost like a father-son interaction thing, but, like, it's not the correct pairing. Like, Like I said before, I feel like if Bomb could meet V, like the young data of V, like there would be a connect there, obviously. Even Bomb was trying to push Kun to have that connect with his dad, but he didn't want to. And then I also thought too, like, Edwin could be using Bomb because it benefits him to get rid of Zahard. And he's just using Bomb to like train him and all this stuff. But I mean, I feel like this Edwin, again, being his younger self is like a more kinder, more cool Edwin, as opposed to what the actual one could be like. So enough with that, though. Now to the last scene. It's really funny because Big Breeder 2 is basically ordering Veal, hey, why don't you go fight Mosgeny? And so it turns out that frickin' Veal speaks, because he speaks up and he's like, that's not my enemy, like, why should I go do that? And so Big Breeder's just like, ugh, whatever, like, I'll fight her then. But at this point, Asensio jumps in, and he's like, no, dude, I'll fight you. And then he's telling his sister to take the heroes with her to complete the quest. And so, of course, this chapter ends with Asensio and Big Breeder 2 about to face off. Big Breeder 2 being like, oh, yeah, you're small fry. I'm going to kill you off. But that is to be seen in the next chapter. I'm really hoping that, Asensio will pull off some cool moves like his sister did earlier in this chapter. And I know he's capable of it. I mean, as I mentioned in the last review, Asensio kind of one-shot, like, that one quest villain in chapters back. So I wouldn't be surprised if, he kind of did the same with any rock attacks that this guy throws his way. So, but there are also the sworn enemies around Big Breeder as well. So they could kind of get involved, and it's, like, multi-people versus Asensio. But we'll see how things go down. Potentially Beta could show up. We don't know. So, yeah, I'm kind of holding on to that hope now. So we'll see if Dr. Bonehead gets it right. But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I appreciate your guys' viewership, and, I appreciate your guys' patience. I know this was kind of a longer video than usual, but yeah. Anyway, I'll catch you guys next week. Peace.